Some people are putting way too much into relationships because they've been friends for a long time. And when they come down and use the tool, they realize, damn, but the effort that I've been putting in doesn't match the circle where they've
Doesn't
been.
reciprocate. Yeah.
It doesn't match. I'm doing more than I'm supposed to, and then I'm not doing enough for the people that I want to do enough for, because there's only one body, there's only so much space, and you got to kind of finesse that space in the way that makes sense the most.
So today we talk, oh my God. So let me tell you a little bit about something that's transpired. I feel like, have you ever noticed that as you get older, it's so hard to hang out with your friends?
Girl, I'm going through that right now.
Like, I feel like a shitty friend because I never have time. You be like,
I'm nervous
I'm gonna go.
because this is my actual spot that I'm in right now.
I hate being the friend that says yes and doesn't show up, or the friends that said, yeah, I'll be there. And then all of a sudden your time is like so limited. I feel like when we were younger, there was so much space to hang out with our friends. Everything was so spontaneous. In my 20s, I was always with my friends. I was always clubbing. I was always with the
Me
sorority.
and you got a similar background.
Yes.
Because we both did sorority. Shout out to our orgs.
That's right.
And because we're outgoing and we have very similar personalities, our social life has always been lit. But we are definitely feeling that now because we want to uphold and still be these people.
Absolutely. Be the friends that we've always been through our friends, right? So I think the hardest challenge is how do you balance that and where, because some friendships serve their purpose like throughout a season in your life, and perhaps those friendships don't last forever.
Right.
And then some friendships' purpose have like fulfilled their part of your life, and then it's like you no longer are with that friend. Or there's some friendships that are so toxic that you're like, I need to create a healthy boundary around this person because this person is no longer serving its purpose in my life. So how do we handle that as like adults? Like, what do we do? What's right? What's wrong? When do you spend time with your friends? When is it not good? When does the friendship no longer serve its purpose? Like,
I think the hardest thing is figuring out, because we've been talking about evolving with time, right? And again, relationships growing and changing over time. And I think the definition of showing up for your friends is really where like we got to stay at. Like, what does that mean for you now at this point of life, right? How we show up for each other is going to look different when there's not as much responsibility, right? Like, I know I'm in my early 30s right now, me and my friends, and we're, I've talked to you about this before, how we're in the decade of like, we're starting to get married, we're starting to have children. The children are still very little, like they're all over the place. And if I call my friend, like if I call my best friend, shout out to my best friend Raquel, like I call her and I know I'm gonna hear Malu and Luna in the back, like 2 under 2. So well, at that
wow,
point now
that's tough.
they're, yeah, so
3 and 2.
3 and 2. So, like it looks different now. So I feel like, again, because friendships are not really something we spend as much time on as maybe a romantic relationship. I think we really had to learn to just normalize. What does that look like now for me to show up for you?
I think it looks different for everybody, right? I think that there's certain friends in my life that show up um for a certain reason. For example, if I want to talk about career goals that I might have, I might connect with one friend more on that topic. If I talk to a friend about fashion, I might connect with that friend more on that topic.
Right.
If each friend has its purpose in your life. Some are more emotional, some are more the girl you call to go hang out with because you're going to have a great time, versus the one that's going to talk to you about some deep rooted stuff that you might need to talk to, with about, or discuss something that you're going through, and she might have more of a deeper meaning, value, or opinion to give you, right?
Right.
So each friend serves a different purpose. What happens is your life gets so busy. Now you have a husband, you're probably starting your marriage, you have these children, and you now have to prioritize your time because you're still working, you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a daughter. And some friendships I've seen different dynamics, whether they're best friends in the beginning, one might get married, starts her life, the other one hasn't yet. This friend continues life, this friend hasn't. This friend feels like she's lost her friend and she can't keep up with the trend because this one might not have her husband yet or her children yet. And so this friend no longer serves its purpose that it used to, maybe because you're just no longer in that season. Now you need perhaps a friend that's a mother, that's a new wife, that has like these struggles that you're going through or these things that you're going through that you can talk to, that's more relatable.
Right.
So it's all seasonal, I think, what space you are, what part of you are in your life. But I have seen friendships fall apart as you get older because of, perhaps you're no longer pouring into each other's cups the way you used to. You're no longer serving each other's purpose the way you used to. She no longer does, she was my party friend. Now I don't party as much. Now I don't chill with her. She was my friend that I used to go to when I was having relational problems. Now my relationship is so successful and we're thriving. So now I'm kind of hanging out with other relationships and other couples. Like, so it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough topic, and because I have such a large dynamic of friends, I've seen friendships fall apart, friendships restore each other, friendships are in a different season, friendships that no longer serve its purpose because they're too toxic and you let them go. So it's so crazy, right? We talk so much about relationship with the other partner, yet these are the relationships that probably shape you so much more than a partner.
Right. And like, how are you, as you were talking, it came up for me like, are we growing together? Are we growing apart based on what decisions we're making, what priorities we're making? Um, right. Because of course, the people you used to party with, they're probably also not partying as much either. But what did they get into? What was their next step? And did they prioritize career over family? Some people maybe started a family and their career is a little off, like it's like okay, like we're all in different places, but it's tough because it's like you trying to meet the needs of other people, but it's also like, am I getting the same consideration? Right? For me, one of the biggest things that, because I'm not a mom and I have friends that are moms or are becoming moms,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the hardest things I've had to learn to work around is I actually had a bit of a situation with one of my line sisters recently, and I pretty much like double booked myself. I was like, I didn't plan effectively, which is unusual in me because my calendar is always like
On point.
pristine. And I basically had to choose making a step towards a career goal that I had or attending her baby shower. And that was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. I told her that this was the third time now, she's obviously becoming a mom. This was the third friend now that I felt in that space, because obviously we squashed it, we talked about it. But in that moment, I felt like, damn, nothing else matters. Like when you're a mom, no other problems that another friend could have are bigger than yours because you're a mom. Like I feel like because I chose to not be a mom and because I'm not a mom or I'm not becoming a mom and like right now, I had to let go of what I was going through and understand them because they were moms. Like I don't know, I feel like that just always takes like the power. That just always takes like the priority. Oh, but she's going through a lot. She's a mom, and it's like, but wait, because
Well, that's
I'm
not fair to
depressed.
your
Like
feelings. Yeah.
nobody asked me about how I'm feeling, right? And maybe, and like I said, right, I've had these conversations with all three of those friends, and we were able to understand each other's points of view. But personally for me, that really was a tough thing for me, that I'm like, here we go again. Like I have to contain myself because they're going through something and I have to understand because oh my god, they have so much going on because they're moms. So I don't know, like that's just like one thing that really stood out for me as we were talking right now.
I think that sometimes you ever be part of a group chat. I don't know if you have any group chats, right? I think we all have a whole bunch of group chats.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that sometimes in the group chat, I'm part of the dynamic of a group where they're all married and I'm not. So sometimes they will vent about their husbands, right? And that's fine because this is the platform for that, right? We're here for you guys to have a safe space for you to vent, and it's not trash talk. They're not out here like saying the worst things about their husbands. Shit that happens, right? In a relationship, right? So sometimes my emotion is shut the fuck up because you have support. I wish I had somebody to help me with something, and you complaining, but that's not fair for them because this is also their space to talk about what they're going through. And I think that at times we have to understand the space that you're in and also respect the season and the space that your other friend might be in. And although you're not there, I'm going to respect that space that you're in. However, please remember, know your audience. Because I feel like as friends, we fail. And sometimes we don't know our audience, and you want to go and dive and talk about everything you want to talk about, but you're like, yo, remember who's the recipient, the receiver of this information that you're giving it to? Because maybe that person is not going to probably understand or maybe have as much compassion because it's not relatable to them.
Are you looking to be heard, or are you looking to be given recommendations, or are you looking, like, I also feel like you got to know what kind of support you're looking for at that point. Because if you just need a listening ear, whether that person relates to you or not, they could be a listening ear, but you kind of know the feedback they're going to give you if they're not relatable to you. Like, if it's not a relatable thing to them, is that really the person to go to if you're trying to get feedback
But
or constructive criticism for something they haven't necessarily gone through yet?
But that's okay for the friend that perhaps has multiple friends. But what about the friend that just has like that little group, or a few friends? And although they might not be going through or might not be relatable, that's all they have. So they're going to share whatever they feel. That's all they have.
I think that we need to start normalizing not everyone has to be your best friend
Or your
Like,
support.
or your right, like I really got into networking in 2021, I want to say, or 2022, and I've met some great women through networking that literally fill my cup when it comes to business.
Correct.
Badass women, not my best friends, but people I enjoy being around. If I see them once a year, twice a year, whatever the case may be, we're at an event, oh snap, like what's good, sis?
Right.
And it's a vibe when I'm with them. But that's okay, that's how they fill my cup, right?
Correct.
So it's like, oh snap, I haven't gone to a networking event in a while, I could pick it right back up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, I get something totally different from my chapter than I get from my best friend group. It's funny because I always tell my best friend group this, like, why can't we be like Sex in the City? Like, I want to be this spontaneous group of friends where we just meet up, have drinks, like, just granted it doesn't help they're in New York, but I also feel like my best friend group has never worked as a group. Like, we get together as a group,
Oh, okay.
but we have more consistent one-on-one conversations. So then I find myself having to repeat the same story
Oh, over and over. Oh my God, that's
three,
the
four
worst.
times. And I'm like, yo, if we were to just meet up or just actually talk on the group chat, for some reason the group chat is never popping like that.
Because I think it's the age of where you guys are in. Like the kids are young. There's nobody who's gonna be on the phone feeding feeding.
Back to 150 messages. Who's catching up to that?
Right. And sometimes you want to be there for your friends. You do. And when you get home, you're overwhelmed and you're like, damn, I gotta read 50 messages from 3 chat groups. Another kid picture. I love all these kids. Yeah, we all we love all the kids.
I love the kids, but damn. No, and like that's the thing too, right? Like, and even with my line sister, I hadn't realized that there were so many things that I wish I would have known years ago that they brought up to me today. And I was like, damn, like what they had to relate it to, like how she felt. And she was like, I just feel like this is a pattern. And I got defensive because I'm like, what pattern? Like, there's a reason I went MIA, because I knew I wasn't showing up, right? When I was in Connecticut, I couldn't show up for my friends that much because I was in grad school. I've just always put a lot on my plate. That's really why I'm learning to just chill a little bit more.
Yeah, put less.
Even now, like when we were about the podcast, I'm like, why didn't I just tell you? Let's wait till after my wedding.
Right.
Everything now, and because that's just how I am. I have to have a full plate. And they really had a conversation with me, and they were like, well, that's your pattern. And I'm like, yo, you haven't even been around me in years, because I didn't want to be this person that flaked out or didn't show up or had to cancel. And because I knew I was really busy and had a lot on my plate. And she said, yeah, but the last example we had was from when we were in chapter meetings before you went MIA way back, that you would still have to cancel. So we were finally excited to have you back.
Mm.
And then you canceled, or you didn't show up to my baby shower. You didn't yet again.
Mm.
And I really had to go into that realization, right? Of like, okay, space was cool, but then I can't get mad when the last person they remember was who I was 10 years ago.
Right.
Because
They haven't seen this or
and they
interacted with this new
right.
version, right?
And then they also said, but you were in New York for my best friend group, because they're different, right? My chapter and my best friend.
Yeah.
So they were like, but you were showing up for them and you were in New York and you couldn't even hit us up and let us know you were in New York.
It's so crazy how they get jealous like that, right? Oh, but you got time for that, but you got time for that, but you don't got time for that.
But it's crazy because I'm like, in the moment, I really didn't think it was that serious. But this is why I said everything is worth talking. Even if it's tiny, even if it's not that serious, even if it's something we would get over right away, it's so important. Because then I started learning all this stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I had a moment of realization, right? Of like, Pam, you're putting too much on your plate. But Pam, you also gotta like figure out your time wisely.
Right.
Like, you can't show up for everything and it's okay, but you also can't just go MIA from one person and not see them for mad years. And then because you're going to focus on this, like, you know what I mean? Like, finding that balance on top of, again, like, we have other things going on, planning a wedding, other ones have little children. Like, it's a lot. So I guess in us talking about this, because I feel like we can differ in where we're at regarding.
Well, yeah, because most of my friends are now, their kids are a little older, whereas you're like, you know, you're dealing with a little.
Marriages are a couple years in, or divorces, or whatever the
Correct.
case may be. So how does that feel? Do you feel like the plate feels as full as maybe us in our early 30s that are starting to have children when we never were mothers, trying to figure out motherhood, trying to figure
No.
out being a wife early on?
I think it's harder. I think your era is harder to make the time for your friends. I think that if I think back to when I had Elijah, I was 29. I didn't have no time. Like, all you did was focus on your child and, you know, whatever you were going through, whether it's relationship. Because, you know, you think about the dynamic, they're getting married, there's new, having a child, that's a new thing to add on to, you know, your day-to-day life, right? You're early on in your career, in your 30s, you just started, right? So you're working on your career as well. So it's so hard to find the time to cultivate and with these friendships, right? And I wonder, because we're females, right? I also think it's the lack of, they're not as emotional. I think women are more emotional.
They really don't have expectations for each other. They really don't. It's just like, oh, you show up when you show up, and when you don't, you don't. And
Yes, I know. I think the men that are more in tune, I've spoken to men that they're like, yo, I miss my friends. Like, I wish we hung out more. I remember when we used to, like, you know, chop it up more. We used to meet up once a week or even go play ball, whatever the case is. And they do, that person did miss the connection with their friends. But I think that for women, it's different. Like, I think that our friendships are so important. Like, they're important for our soul. Like, it's like we need them. I do hold myself accountable for the friendships that matter and are important. Meaning I have a large group, so I have to be intentional with my time. So every month we put out a poll of what's next, everybody's next availability. And then we put it out there, and then we gotta save the date. And if you're saving the date, you can't renege on that. Like, you can't say, damn, I just realized I double dipped. That other thing you double dipped on, that has to go. It can't be this.
that's how my friends are.
Right.
For nothing, I cared about your career move.
Right.
But at that point in my life, pregnant as fuck, I'm like, I don't care about no damn thing. Like, I want you here. I want
Yeah,
my friend
absolutely.
here. Which is, you understood, right?
Of course.
I talked to you about it, and you were like, nah, like, what do you need? What do you
Yeah,
need?
that's
And
tough.
I felt that. Also because
That's your line
what line
sister.
sisters mean to us, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we both went through this process. And actually, I kind of want to dig a little deep into that, because that is something me and you can relate to. Like, the power of friendships that even came from even having those relationships with those people that you went through that process with, right? Like,
Oh, yeah,
the
like
sisterhood
my sisterhood
of
aspect.
sorority, and how we really took those oaths seriously. Like, those
Absolutely,
are
yeah.
those sisters of ours, like, till death. Like, you are here with me.
Well, so seriously that once again, I'm probably going back on the National Governing Board which is what I served for like 10 years within my organization. I was president once on the national level, and I was also one of the founders on the national step team. So the organization not only gave me the gifted me, or I was, I felt honored to have all these women as my sisters. That's what I got in return of becoming a sister, but I've also been very involved in the organization. So a lot of my friends are my sisters. There's only a few group of girls that I call my church girls, my amigas, and those are my childhood friends that I've had since I was like 9 years old. So loyalty and longevity is important for me, right? So these are people that have been in my childhood friends have to completely know who I am, right? They've known who I was as a child, as a grown up. And now these women in my organization are these women that I've like developed and become into, meaning like who I was in my 20s, then who we are in our 30s, and now, whatever age I am. Here we are now, and we've all evolved and grown together and seen each other grow. But LTO obviously is
Shout out to LTO. Shout out to Cuz.
important to me. But in so I have had friendships that I no longer have within my organization, and I have had falling outs within people that I no longer, are as close as I used to be. That brings me to a place where you still have love and care for them. It's just that that person served their purpose in the season in your life. And that person perhaps is no longer in your season now, or perhaps will never be the part of your life again, but no love is lost. You remember the good, you cherish the good times, and how could I say, you take away the good. Like what was the importance of that person in your life, and what would you thank them for? And say, yo, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have learned these things.
Yeah, and something stuck to my head that you said a couple minutes ago of why do we take these friendships? Why are they so important? Why are they such a priority? And I think that as women that need emotional validation because we are so in tune with our emotions,
Absolutely.
we need community. We need to feel heard. We need to feel understood. And because we struggle with that with again in our situations with the men in our lives, because obviously the same sex relationships may feel different, they may not, but because for men it's so much harder. A lot of times we don't get that from them, or they're in the process of learning to provide that for us. But
Connection.
to find that within our other women within our groups is a lot easier because we're all kind of built with emotional,
more in tune with our emotion
Exactly.
ourselves. Yes.
So I feel like that's why friendship breakups
Oof.
for bro, I'm still grieving. One of my friendships. And I actually, that shit hit when you said you have friends from when you were 9, because that was my friend since I was 5. Like, I still think about it. I have her on social media and I look at her children growing
Well, you
up.
follow each other.
I do.
So when I broke up with my bestie, my childhood bestie, because we did break up, we weren't speaking for about 4 years. And Debbie and I have very similar personalities. She's very outgoing, very social, just as me. She's also very much into social media. She has her own blog and she does her thing. She's out there. And when we broke up, it was detrimental not only to us two, but to the group, because there's a group of us.
Yeah, you guys come from the group.
Right. So then
it was just me and her.
Exactly. So what happens when the breakup affects the group? You affect each other, but you do get to a place where I knew I was going to be her friend again. I knew we were going to talk again. I just knew that time heals all. And it took us 4 or 5 years to talk again. It happened throughout COVID when we broke up, and we just reunited again now in January. So all that time to heal, to forgive, to just kind of like, and we met up. She said like where she felt I hurt her. I told her where I felt she hurt me. And it was kind of like the time had really healed and it was back to normal, to the point that now she helped decorate my whole mother's 75th birthday party. So true healing, how when you do have breakup in friendships, and you can mend and move forward. But then there are those, like my line sister, that I don't speak to and I haven't spoken to for, over 5 years.
Yeah, when we caught up and you told me y'all didn't talk anymore, I was like, damn, because I remember
The yin to my
very
yang.
much remember the closeness of that relationship.
Correct.
That was at the time that I was like, ooh, maybe I want to do sorority. Like, literally, you were my person. Like, all my sisters know I've spoken of you because that was like my thing when I saw you like be doing it. But yeah, that was surprising for me. But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, that shit is real. Like, friendship breakups are so real, and I feel like they hurt so much deeper. I don't know why.
Well, because the expectation of
Like, I feel like I'm preparing for a man to maybe not work out, but I'm never preparing
for your friendship, but it's relational. It's relational, and all misunderstanding. I think if her and I would have had the conversation years ago, it would have been squashed and it would have been just all settled for whatever. But now, like, when something passes and so much time passes that you're like, it's so weird. Like, how do you even bring it up?
I think that's where, and I think honoring the space that you're in. I think, and when you said time heals all, that's really where it's at, and that gets me to, I'm gonna share another tool.
The I was looking at it.
People pay for this program, and I'm giving y'all this for free, okay? But this is another tool that I'm talking about, right? Like, there's certain parts of so while everyone's doing a vision board, I use a tool called the 7 circles.
Okay.
And these 7 circles lets me know I kind of evaluate all my relationships. I play each circle, so I'm not gonna give it fully away because I can't be getting all the free stuff. I'm gonna give y'all the overview. So in the 7 circles, each circle means something, and you're placing certain people in each circle based on whether they
connect your
where they
life
need to be, right?
Okay.
Based on where they're at in your life. I do it within the past year. Why? Because relationships are constantly evolving, like everything else. So at some point, somebody pours into you, but then at some point, they start draining you. And if you don't evaluate that, if you don't say, hold up, and you're just going by time because, oh, that's been my girl for years.
For the loyalty.
Come on. That loyalty could be very detrimental to your health,
Absolutely.
right? So I told you I grieve this friendship every day, and I think about my friend every day. But she actually hit me up a couple years ago, and the space that I was in when she hit me up a couple years ago, I don't say 2 years ago, I had to go by how I felt in that moment. Because I said, if I ever go back, I need to make sure it's the right time. I need to make sure both me and her are fully 2 feet into this friendship. Just because of how much it's impacted me, right? And at the point she texted me at that time, it just wasn't the time
for her.
An answer. No.
Oh, for you.
She wrote to me, but I wasn't in that space, right? And I don't know when I'm gonna feel ready to make that move. And again, with understanding that when I feel ready, she might not, and that's totally fine. But when I use this tool, is again to evaluate where I'm at with that relationship. And where they stand in so that way I know, okay, maybe this relationship don't need the same effort I was putting in last year because of how things have played out throughout this year. Like you said, some people are there for chapters. Some people are there in that chapter, but they don't have to take up all the pages. Sometimes they're in that chapter in one page, and that's okay.
It could also be like who they serve in your life at that time. Like, let's take the dynamic of like perhaps a friendship of 4 people, right? And perhaps, this season you're close with Samantha because of the season that you're in.
Damn, you love that lady. Sammy, if you out there, hit up. You got a friend named Samantha?
I don't.
See, that she putting it out there. She need a friend. She calling out on some. I mean, I don't know if you've said Samantha in a negative or positive way. Maybe you manifesting a future friend
of name Samantha. Or that season in your life, you're close with Samantha because you guys are vibing. But then, a few months later, whatever it is, now you're close with Becky. And Becky's your best friend.
Becky got it.
And it's not that Samantha's done anything wrong. It's that perhaps Samantha in that season served her purpose. And now Becky is somehow doing more pouring into your cup. And it doesn't make Samantha wrong or bad or not a great friend. Perhaps there are things that you didn't like the way that Samantha handled, and you should have told her, hey, you could have done better in that. And now you didn't tell her that. And now you have this little thing in your heart like, And it's like, damn, but why you didn't talk about it? Because as you told,
you're putting it on her.
And poor Samantha don't even know. Although, yes, she served your purpose in that season in your life and you've moved on to Becky and you love Samantha, you still have to address that little thing that you had with Samantha and you haven't. So now you're vibing with Becky and you and Becky cool, and maybe you never addressed the Samantha thing because Becky's now filling your cup. And I feel like in friendships, you have to be cautious of little moves like that when it's more than just two people, because it's so easily to not address certain things with one friend in a season because there's so many other friends in that circle.
I was gonna ask you a question. We actually talked about this in my friendship, my friend group too. How do you feel about the entry of new people into this group? Have you experienced where you have your core and somebody new might have come up, whether it's somebody's friend that she's really been vibing with, she wants to introduce her to y'all, and then she joins the group and y'all might feel, I don't know, as welcoming, do you feel iffy? How do you deal with that? And do you feel that, because someone's energy could definitely mess up the energy that you've worked so hard to create within your group. How do you work around that?
There's a lot of the dynamic of my friendships are different, but I will say they're very territorial. So it's like it's only been us five from the jump. Why you trying to bring this other new girl to the crew? So you can't bring the new girl to the crew. You just have to be cool with your friend and that crew. So, for example, I'll give you and I'll put names because these girls love me. My Bochincha crew is five of us. Out of those five, there's friends that have other sets of friends. I could go hang out with, let's say, my friend Priscilla and her friends, right? But those friends can come part and be part of this Bochinche crew because we've already have our little crew is established and we have our own trust system and everything, and we trust this crew. Where I'm more like, all right, Priscilla, go with your girls. I want to hang out with them too. Right. And now all of a sudden your girls are my girls. And now we're friends too, but we feed each other in different ways. But you can't come and be part of this crew because they're
It's already done.
Yeah, they're very territorial. And if you have a new friend, like this happened to me in my 30s when I was working at TD Bank, and I met it was my late 20s, and I met a new friend at the bank, and she wanted to host a baby shower, but my other friends were like, no, she's not. And I'm like, y'all need to all just get along.
Would you like to say it?
Calm down. Calm down. Yo, that's so stupid. Like, that's so corny. Like, why people? But we're petty. Like, we're women and we get sensitive about that. Yeah. Needless to say, they all planned the baby shower and it was beautiful. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So exactly. What's established is established, and that makes sense because I get that, right? Like for me, I just say my core, right? I have my core. And because we're so outgoing, I think me and you could definitely relate to this. We invite everybody. Like, oh, not invite, but like we cool with everybody.
Welcome,
We
yeah.
vibe with everybody. So I think that I really had to learn I need a trial period. Because what I already got here is established and you can hang out with us. Like we've allowed people to come in. We haven't been like y'all in my best friend group. We've allowed people to come in. But I feel like you can definitely tell the impact of allowing new people into the group.
Yeah.
And we've had to talk, right? Well, I've talked to my core about that. And like said, okay, like because we do also so much one-on-one, I'm like, if that person, you can tell the impact if that person is not really putting in the one-on-one effort that we just learned to do with each other. And it's like, you can't sit there and say you want to feel this and you want to have this amazing feeling of having a friend group, but then you're not. And this is something we've all talked about. The new ones, the old ones, like we've all talked about it. Like relationships take effort.
Yes.
And you can't say, oh, I want this friendship and I want this crew, but not put in the effort. It's hard. And bro, we are going through it. We all figuring out life. We're all doing it. And it's like, where do we draw that balance of being understanding of someone? Like, I guess that goes into another question of like, when somebody needs to go MIA for a little bit or take time.
Yes.
What does that look like?
I've expressed that in my group dynamics. Like, right now I'm not myself because you do have to be in a good space to pour into other people, right? Including your friendships. And maybe mentally you're just not in a season to pour into nobody, right? Like, I don't want to be nobody's friend right now. Like, I'm not even good with me. And you have to talk about that, so that they don't get offended. Like, yo, I'm just going through some stuff. I need some time. I love you girls. I'll be back.
What do you think is too much time?
Oh, I think everybody's timing is different, but I mean, listen, when you got real hardcore friends, they're checking in on you weekly. They're gonna check in, or at least a month, like what's going on, like.
And that's the point I was hoping that you made. It's like, okay, you could go. I went MIA from my group one time in the last 11 years, and that was because I had a fight with them. Something that has never happened ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't talk to them for like 5 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
Bro, it was a long time, but I was hurt. Okay, I was hurt.
And they didn't reach out?
I was very adamant about I'm gonna reach out when I'm ready. They tried in that moment to figure because they know I'm all about communication. So
Right, yeah. For you to bounce like that.
they did try in that moment, but they realized I wasn't giving. But the reason why they gave me that space is because that hadn't happened like to that extent in that time. They're like, yo, Pam doesn't just disappear like this for that long, so we're really gonna give her. And obviously, like, they would see me, like, they also know Gabe. Like, it's not like they think I'm like, dead or something. You know?
Right.
He always around, but when I was ready to have that conversation, I was ready to tell it all and pour it all. And I just felt like I wasn't there yet. But again, that's the one time that's happened in like 11 years of friendship, right? I think in a difference, we do introduce people, and there's been some people that are kind of wishy-washy, and there's been some people that have really shown. But I'm like, that takes time. You got to show up, right? We got to see with time.
Who invites the people to your dynamic of your group, right? So I'm assuming you have a core group from I'm assuming these girls are like high school friends or college friends. Not sisters though, or sisters?
Nah.
Okay.
My group is not sorority.
Your best friend group is from college? It's not like younger than that?
No.
Oh wow. So you don't have like no friends from childhood, like.
That's why I got to start. Like when you mentioned that, I was like,
yeah, my amigas play a big role in my life. Not a lot of friends, not a lot of people that I know have a friendship for that long. Like when I tell them I've been friends with them since, let's say 10, right? Because we're gonna round it up. It would be easier to count that way. It'd be like 30-some years, like, so it's like, what? You've been friends with somebody for that long? Like, yeah, we've been friends for that long. And at that point, it's like your family, But although we've been friends that long, there are some boundaries that we all have to respect. And I think that sometimes when you put these boundaries, people might see it as are they rejecting me? And it's not rejection, it's more, yo, I love you, but this boundary has been created for it to be healthy for you, for me, and for us.
Which is why when you do that relationship circle every year, some people are going to stay exactly in the circle where they need to stay.
Get out of here.
And that's okay, right? Some shift. But again, the circles just allow you, the tool just allows you to know where people stand so that you know where to put your energy, right? Because maybe the energy, maybe you release some space from somebody, and that creates more space for the person that needs that space in your life, right? So you need to be very adamant that where you're at in your life actually aligns to the effort and the space you're creating for certain people, right? Some people are going to go up and down them circles, and that's okay. And some people have been in circle 4 for the last 5 years, and that's also okay because it's an understood thing, right?
Right.
And again, it always comes back, bro, it starts with you. You need to be self-aware of where you stand with your relationships so that some people are putting way too much into relationships because they've been friends for a long time. And when they come down and use the tool, they realize, damn, but the effort that I've been putting in doesn't match the circle where they
doesn't reciprocate. Yeah.
It doesn't match. I'm doing more than I'm supposed to, and then I'm not doing enough for the people that I want to do enough for because there's only one body, there's only so much space, and you got to kind of finesse that space in the way that makes sense the most.
A good friend of mine told me that recently. She's like, I love her and she loves me. It's just that I feel like I've given that friendship too much, and in return I'm not getting the same.
Burnout.
So, and you still love them.
Right.
You just realize, yeah, I need to back off a little and perhaps give the friendship that is pouring more into me a little bit more time. And I think there's beauty in that and there's healing. What you don't want is because that other person is not showing up for you in that season, is for you not to talk about perhaps whatever that person kind of like the little chip off your heart that they kind of did, or maybe that little thing that kind of bothered you. You want to talk about that because then that little chip could keep kind of like chipping away, and then it becomes a bigger issue
That's the
than the
whole
little.
right. When people say it's not worth it, and I said this before, it is worth it. Every single thing that you're feeling, thinking is worth it for someone that says and claims they care about you. If I care about you, any thought you have, whether I agree with it or not, whether we could squash it in 5 seconds, it was worth it because now you got it off your chest. And now you're not holding that resentment, that feeling of burnout, that feeling of doing too much. Like, had y'all talked about that 5 years ago, you would have avoided doing too much because y'all would have understood that you're in a space where you could only give so much. You could only give so much. One of the things that I tell people, little things that I drop here and there, are even when you're putting in more than 50%, the most you're ever going to be able to get to is 50% because you're only 50% of that relationship. So even when you do more than you need to, if that person ain't showing up for their 50, you're still gonna feel that hole.
Yes, you
And some
will.
people do more because they're like, oh, shorty can't show up in this percentage.
But what
Shorty
if
get
that's the
home.
season that shorty's in right now? Like, what if in your friendship in that season you could give 75%, and
Right.
that other friend could only do, what's the math, 25?
But
Is that the math?
is that really? I feel like the only person that's gonna feel that extra 15 is you, is not the other person. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you got to be very careful with where your role ends, with where what you need, like what no longer is part of your role, right? I always say, like, when you're a support, you're actively listening, number one. You're validating the emotion, number two. And number three is you're giving a recommendation or a resource.
Okay.
Past that, you can't fix people's problems. You can't make decisions for them. That other, let's say that's the 50%. And then you want to do more. Oh, but she doesn't have the headspace, so I'm just going to make the decision for her. I'm just going to tell her what she should do about that man. That's why y'all get so disappointed when Shorty go back to her man.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
because
you
those are
did too
decisions.
much.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
went above your role. You did too much. That 50% is your 50%, even when you do more than 50%. So that person also has to do their 50%. If they're not showing up, then what we're saying is we're going to operate this friendship on an overall 75%, and that is okay. Now, because you're at 25, I'm going to fill the other. That's just my personal opinion based on what I've seen, right? That we overexert ourselves and then we get disappointed when we
Oh,
don't get
yeah.
that in
The
return,
expectation of what we
right? Because
expected. Yeah.
whatever you decide to do that's extra,
That's on
shouldn't
you.
have to expect that from the other person. The only thing they're responsible for is 50%. They're 50% in that relationship. That's just kind of like, a little gem I drop here. And they're based on, what I feel that I've noticed, like in relationships in general. Because, girl, relationships are hard. Like,
Well, the reason why I feel is, well, obviously we tapped so much of relational stuff. It's because it's relation with self first. And I always tell, I always like to be a little bit of a devil's advocate. You have so many different personalities in the dynamic of a group, right? That I'm always like, I always hear but that's how she is. You know how she is. You know how she is. You know how he is. And it's like, yeah, nah,
that make it okay.
that does not make it okay. And just because that's how she is or that's how he is, it doesn't make it okay.
And if you're going to allow that, then she's at a distant circle and we're going to keep her there. But that's the effort that you also put into that.
What if the friend is not aware that that's how she is? You know how many times in college I had to be, not how many times, but my friends sat me down and they had what did they call it? An intervention where they would tell me, I guess, where I was falling short in my friendship or the things that I didn't like or what I was not doing right as a friend. And they all checked me. And these were my line sisters before they became my line sisters, right? So I honestly, thinking back, thank God. Because had they not done that, then I probably would have been a shitty friend and they probably would have not been my friend and I probably would have not have pledged and they probably wouldn't have been cool with me. So I thought that was beautiful. And I think that sometimes as friends, we owe that to each other. Yo, it's time. We got to talk about this because if not, this is going to kill the whole dynamic after we've all invested so much in each other and genuinely we care and love for each other. So I think it's good to also have conversations like that and interventions and check your friends when they need to or
I think
when they fall short.
I think that's an awesome way to like recap it. Is like communication is key. You owe that. I love that you said that. You owe that to the people you love, period, to communicate the good and the bad. There's a reason when you vow in that altar is in the good and the bad. That's in every single
Yeah.
great relationship that you're invested in the good and in the bad. So absolutely, like having those conversations is absolutely a non-negotiable for me. Like, and I will always, I'm always that friend that is very direct in a kind way, but you go hear it, and that's it. And my friends appreciate that, and I expect the same, right? Because how am I going to know how to change or evolve? Because we are just trying to be better versions of ourselves if we don't know where we fall.
Using the 7 circles of the relationships tool that you've discussed, who's in your inner circle right now
Uh-huh.
and what qualities earned them that space? Why are they there in your inner circle?
I think the one friend that all my friends that are going to be hearing this, watching this, that we can all agree, we say this all the time. My best friend Nati is just something else. Like that girl, the amount of effort. Like she is that friend that makes time to call all of her friends.
Okay, yeah.
Like
There's people like
she
that.
is that friend. Like she will make the time even when she don't have the time.
She has a husband and stuff or no?
She has, yeah. She's
Okay.
in a committed relationship right now. She's not married, but she's in a committed relationship. She has a lot going on right now. And it's crazy. Like, because again, I told you we do a lot of one-on-one. She literally, every single person in our friend group can say that she's their number one. And we all respect that because she has earned that spot. So I will say that she tells it how it is. She's very direct. She makes time. She gives you the I think one of my favorite things of talking to Matthew is like she will hear you, she will validate you, and then she'll tell you whether she agrees or not unapologetically. But she'll still validate, right?
Yeah.
And it's like so many of us can't even validate before we're giving the advice. It's like, but damn, can you validate what I'm feeling real quick before you just, you know? So I feel like that really is something that makes her stick out for me. And that's one of the people that I'm like, damn, like you really were made to come. Cause I, even when people think I'm doing too much or being rude or like, because I'm direct, she's like, that's how you need to be. They ain't paying your bills, you know? Like,
Right. She validates your feeling for yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Nappy, my baby girl. Ready for your spicy one?
Go ahead, sis.
Have you ever been friends with someone who low key did not want to see you win?
Oh, no. I don't think I have had a friendship that was a hater. Nah, like I think
Even
I've
if they're
been
not in your life right now.
no, because the only people that are not in my life right now is not
It wasn't because
of a hater. No, I don't think I have I don't think I've had any like low key haters like that. But I think of the dynamic of who I am as a person. Like I'm very like friendly, outgoing, and things like that. On the contrary, I think I have been blessed where a lot of the friends that I have in my circle want me to succeed, and they're actually very happy for the season that I'm in my life. A lot of my friends always tell me, I can't wait for you to see what we see. And for you to, we feel like you're finally now tapping into the person that you are.
Shout out to your friends.
And I think that my inner circles, I love my girls. Like, even the ones that are not here right now, they all serve their purpose. And I don't have like a person that I can say low key. I have friends of friends that I think low key hated on me, and that's why we probably not friends with that friend.
Well, and for those, I mean,
I think that.
listening and watching, because you've been so good, damn, so you could pick them when it comes to friends. Like when it comes to friendship.
Yeah.
So for those people, for those listeners, watchers that are having a hard time knowing how to pick them, why do you think that you haven't encountered that? Do you feel that there's certain red flags that you avoid? Is there certain like a method? Like what do you or certain things that you spot that you're like, nah?
Man, I think that I call it how I see it. So I have a very like I'm in tune like with my sixth sense. I always say I have like a sixth sense feeling.
Yeah, luna bruja.
Man, low key, I think I am. A good one, a good bruja. And I feel like my intuition. I know when somebody's funky. Like, I don't know about that girl. I don't know about her. I'm not, but I am such a giver that I do give genuinely who I am upfront, regardless if you're good or bad. You're gonna get the all good in me. But it's the way what you do with that that's gonna allow me to see if I'm gonna go deep diving with you, or if we're gonna keep it on snorkeling level.
Okay.
So you have to be cautious as to who you allow in your circle.
You heard Scuba Steve? He's talking to you. He's talking to you, okay? So in other words, get yourself a bruja friend with intuition. And she got you. If you don't got it, if you don't have the radar, she will. She got it.
Love you guys.
That was a lot. Thank you guys for joining us.
Love you a long time. Thank you so much.
If you've ever had to rethink a friendship while still loving that person, then you understand this conversation. Because the truth is, not every friendship is meant to grow closer. Some are meant to shift, some are meant to be redefined. And that doesn't make you a bad friend, it makes you someone who's aware of their capacity. You are allowed to protect your energy, you are allowed to create space, and you are allowed to show up differently as you grow. Because it's not about giving less, it's about giving better to the people and spaces that can actually meet you where you are. This is Soul y Sazón, where the flavor of the world blends with the stories of the heart. Keep showing up with soul and lots of flavor, honey. Love you. Long time.